Hello, you guys. I just realized that I rarely interact with you guys at the start of these videos, and I just wanted to tell you guys thank you for the views and nice comments that I've gotten on some of my old videos. It means a lot. So yeah, this is just a small little preamble that I'm doing to let you guys know that we're in for a pretty chill video today, I think. And I'm currently working on a Yu Yu Hakusho video as well as starting on a Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood video, but I don't really know what that's going to be about yet. In any case, thanks for watching and enjoy the festivities. And man, I don't even think I'm going to do chapters for this one, you know? I'm just going to start spitting. Like, can I go off? I don't think there's any show out there that really encapsulates what it means to be a teenager quite like Glenn Murakami's Teen Titans. It really shows what it means to be a teenager while managing to show respect for teens and what they have to go through without feeling the need to patronize them or make them feel like their feelings and ideals are inherently less important compared to that of an adult, solely because they haven't lived enough life yet. And sure, youth is youth, right? But that doesn't mean that teenagers don't go through things too. As a 26-year-old man, I think I hit that middle ground where I'm still at an age where I can co-opt the ideals of other adults, but also in turn understand the viewpoints of those much younger than me. And yet, I do see the imbalance when it comes to understanding youth because of that age discrepancy. Sometimes adults, especially the ones much older than I, have a habit of gatekeeping struggle, falling into this mindset thinking that teenagers don't know what struggling looks like. And that to me is where Teen Titans comes in. On a surface level, what do you see? A typical Saturday morning action hero cartoon where teenage superheroes team up to fight a new villain of the week. But when you look deeper into the show, you'll see that Teen Titans is much more than a sum of its parts. At times, it has that feel to it that I mentioned, but it's really much more than that. I mean, just look at the Teen Titans themselves. They're all teenagers of different races, species, and social classes, all with their own struggles and trauma that they push to the side or at times completely run away from, while they band together not just to play hero, but to find out what it truly means to be one. So let's go down the list. We have Robin. You know the story. A rich white teen thrust into the role of leader entirely too early. He struggles with what it means to be a leader and if he could live up to the potential of someone like his father figure Batman. He even tries at times to copy the mannerisms and the stoicism of Batman to a fault, despite at heart being totally different from what he was. But it isn't his only vice. He also at times deals with a serious case of PTSD. See, this episode here, Haunted, is an episode to me where Robin felt the most like his adopted father, Bruce Wayne, but not because of his fighting abilities or detective genius, but because you see in Robin what you see in him. Not a superhero, not even a superhuman, just a man that's scared, a man that's obsessive, a man whose sanity falters at times because of the ordeals that he went through. See, in this episode, Robin hallucinates his nemesis Slade and becomes violent towards his team, most notably Starfire, who he is usually the most protective of. He yells at them about how come you couldn't find Slade, but of course they couldn't find him, because he's dead. The situation reaches its breaking point and Robin begins to fight his hallucination of Slade, and the stress of it all starts to kill him. because while the fight isn't real, it's real enough to him. Real enough to almost kill him, for that matter. And this here is an example of something that teens and even small children can go through, and that's trauma from past experiences. The series shows what it looks like for a young person to go through something so traumatic, to experience something so traumatic that the fallout of it all almost kills you. But this isn't it. This isn't it at all. All of the Titans go through their own things like this. This is just one example. Like we have Raven, a demon from a parallel dimension called Azarath, who was a child of prophecy, born to be the one that destroys the world, brought on by her father Trigon. Raven's existence to Trigon was to be a harbinger of destruction, just playing hero, until that time inevitably comes, whether she wants it to or not. Her struggle isn't one necessarily of PTSD. No, it's a bit different than that. Take away the fantastical elements of it all, and what do you have? A child, a scared child, a child who had a life forced upon her by her father. Like, have you ever seen those kids who are forced to skate or do gymnastics by the time they learn to walk? Not because that's what they wanted to do, but because that's what their father demanded of them, because that was their destiny. And they didn't really matter to them unless they fulfilled that destiny. You see, at times, Teen Titans also had real hefty real world parallels in it too. Say for instance, Starfire, who is an alien princess sold into slavery by her older sister Blackfire, who deals with various things like racism and struggling to adapt to a new environment, culture shock. Sure, it sounds less heavy compared to death by mental strain, trauma, or destruction of the world. But hear me out. This is very real too. Consider the feelings of a young person coming from a different world, or as it stands, a different country, or even a different state for that matter, where they have to learn a new language, new customs, new colloquialisms. It really can feel like a totally different planet at times for them. And even if they try their best to adjust to this new way of life, they still run into things like xenophobia, with people treating them different just because they don't understand them, or they are from a place where they don't try to understand them. Teens definitely feel this pressure. Actually, it's a very understated issue in today's society. Not only because people don't understand, but because of the idea that someone could be hateful of you or fearful of you, because not just that they don't understand you, because they don't even try to understand you in the first place. Don't forget that Starfire has that amazing scene. It's very small. The scene where she talks about racism, where she's from, and their equivalent of the N-word, and she even mirrors the thoughts of those who say that whether we like the word or not, and whether you understand the pretext or implications of the word, doesn't really change anything. You just can't say that word. So yeah, Teen Titans isn't afraid to make you uncomfortable at times. So there's another thing that the show understands, and that's the fact that racism and xenophobia isn't limited by age. Teenagers face racism too, whether it be systemic or blatant racism brought on by words or actions. Which leads us to Cyborg, right? Whose struggle is more internal, I'll say, which is interesting because while his struggle is internal, it deals directly with the external. What we have here is a black man who is part robot, who just wants to be viewed the same as everyone else. He's human, just like you and me, who wants others to see him as such. He even goes on to tell one of the enemy's brother blood that he is a man because it's him having a soul that makes him one. He even struggles with this idea that the machine part of him is what's holding him back from surpassing his limits when really it's all in his mind. So you might be wondering, what is the real world parallel for young people? Well, consider the thoughts of someone who is paraplegic or an amputee for that matter. I may not be one, but I can imagine that someone who uses prosthetics to live everyday life wants to be accepted just like you and me, and they don't want to be viewed as lesser than or pitied because of their physical appearance. Teen Titans shows that internal struggles in relation to physical appearance are not something that can be taken so lightly, and are also, just like the other things that I mentioned, are things that young people might go through. They have their struggles too. And lastly, we have Garfield Logan, Beast Boy, who on a more solemn note, at times even understated, just wants to belong, right? That's it. Fun, bubbly, humorous personality. But on the inside, he feels lonely and depressed because he just wants to belong somewhere. He's lonely after his parents died. Beast Boy joins the Doom Patrol and he left because of the harshness of it all. And he struggled with finding somewhere where he can be his true self, as well as feel wanted and accepted. And despite their ups and downs and occasional bickering and breakups, he found that place. He found his home with the Teen Titans. This is also an understated thing that teens go through, because sometimes in your youth, you just feel lonely and you have this need to feel wanted, whether it be by your family or your friends. So there you go. The Teen Titans with their backstories and a tiny taste of their struggles and hardships. So you may be wondering, okay, Amran, we heard all of this, whatever. What's your point? What is my point, right? What about this tells you that Teen Titans is this one-of-the-kind show, this watershed moment in cartoons? Well, here's the thing. A lot of TV shows, especially TV shows from the, let's say, late 90s and early aughts, like to portray teenagers as silly or crass, rude youngsters that love to rebel against authority figures, i.e. adults, whether it be police or teachers or something of that nature. What makes Teen Titans different is that this basic interpretation of what youth is was never the point. Never. The point was to show you that, yeah, adults have it rough, but that doesn't mean younger people don't have it rough too. Sure, the show has a lot of moments of levity where it shows them throwing parties and having crushes and things like that, but it also shows that teenagers shouldn't be patronized or coddled, and that they deserve to have the stories told that reflect some of the things that they go through, the good and bad. You take away the fantastical element and you have a show about teenagers dealing with real life stuff like PTSD, racism, and depression. I mean, people die in this show, both teens and adults. And even the last episode is sad and a loss of innocence. Life moves on regardless of you kind of way. But that's what Teen Titans was. It's a show that in its core was real. It's part of the reason why a bunch of people in my age group have such vitriol towards Teen Titans Go, because thematically and visually it represents the exact opposite of what the OG Teen Titans was. But I will go on record saying that they're almost 30 and are being a bit dramatic over a kid's cartoon. Yeah. Nonetheless, Teen Titans was dope because it understood the youth. And for all the seriousness or silliness, it represented them well Teen Titans was truly one of a kind. But I'm also an old ass man, kinda. So who cares what I think, really?
Things change, Beast Boy. The girl you want me to be is just a memory.
I still don't know why y'all watch my videos. I really don't. All my videos are trash. Nonetheless, if you're one of the 5 people who make it this far into the video, thank you for watching. I love y'all. Keep supporting, unless you don't want to. Bye.